Hey divas, welcome to my channel and welcome to another installment of People Suck, where I talk about people on the internet who suck. Buckle up, because today we're going to be talking about the infamous Lilly Tino, the transgender creator on TikTok who makes her entire career out of casting negative stereotypes regarding the LGBTQ+ community, specifically the transgender community, and seeing how she can victimize herself for the sake of views. I'm sure most people have heard about Lilly by now, as she's getting a lot of discourse online for her behavior, and her behavior is definitely negatively falling back on the rest of the community. And a lot of people even want to speculate that Lilly isn't transgender at all and that she's just making all of this for the sake of rage bait and, to get views. The vast majority of Lilly's content features several trips to Disney, where she talks a lot about her experience being transgender. She also films several videos of her getting misgendered in public and her reactions to such, and all of her videos have this sort of sense of entitlement, as she expects like a red carpet apology every time she's wronged. I did just want to say this video is inspired by YouTuber Michelle Manna, who also covered Lilly Tino, but as somebody in the community myself, I wanted to give my opinion on Lilly as well and sort of talk about some of her problematic behavior and how it is harming the entire community. I did just want to leave a couple disclaimers though. Firstly, a big one being that if you've come to this video for a transphobic take on Lilly Tino, you are in the wrong place, and I suggest you leave this video now, because the majority of the community itself does not like Lilly and is literally begging her to stop because of the negative effect she's having on the rest of the community. Most of us aren't like this, and we don't support this, nor do we want this. Similarly, I know that a lot of people are using this as an excuse to be transphobic and jump to misgendering Lilly, which I think is disgusting. I'm still going to be using Lilly's preferred name and pronouns because to me, misgendering her isn't going to solve anything. All it's going to do is tell the rest of the community that their identities is something that can be taken away if they don't agree, if we don't all have the same viewpoints. I don't think that somebody's identity or their pronouns should be used as a reward or a punishment that you can simply just give out and take away when you aren't on the same page regarding things. And being a bad person doesn't mean that, their identity should be stripped away from them. And frankly, if you are using this as an excuse to misgender people, you don't really care about the community at all, and you're just looking for another excuse to hate on them. I mean, with cisgender people, when they do bad things, you don't instantly jump to trying to change their identity, so I think it's shitty to do with the transgender community. Lilly isn't a bad person because she's transgender. She's just a bad person who happens to be transgender, although I do think she does have a tendency to use being transgender as a sort of like get out of jail free card, I guess. She turns that into, you don't like me because I'm transgender, and like, you're transphobic when you say these things about me or you call me out on my behavior, which obviously does hurt the community. Also, finally, this whole video is technically just my opinion, and everything that I'm discussing here is based on what I believe, so you're allowed to have your own opinions on this. Let's get into this video, shall we? There is a big controversy regarding Lilly from 2024 that I'm not going to dive in too highly because I feel like it's not really my place to, because I only found out about this recently when researching Lilly for this video, but I did want to bring it up some. Basically, there was issues between Lilly and another transgender creator by the name of Colleen, in which Lilly tried to coerce Colleen into having sex with her for the sake of creating content on their OnlyFans, despite the fact that Colleen was both uninterested in this and in a monogamous marriage. Lilly and Colleen at this point weren't even really friends. They were familiar with each other, and Colleen did have some sympathy for Lilly because she knew the struggles of being transgender, but they weren't really like friends. So the fact that Lilly even like thought of this was definitely a bit strange, but to my understanding of the situation, Lilly reached out to Colleen, mentioning the ideas of a collaboration that would be beneficial for both of them and their careers, which Colleen later realized was, Lilly wanted to make OnlyFans content.
When she first messaged me to pitch her idea to go to Vegas, she wanted to basically pitch it as a fun girls' trip. And I was friendly about it, but I also made sure she knew that, hey, listen, I cannot go to the US right now because I'm trying to get my permanent residence here in Canada. And if I leave, the whole process gets halted. It's a whole big thing. I can't do it.
Colleen wasn't even interested in this collab because she had a Canadian work permit, which would obviously be null the second she left Canada. But Lilly kept continually asking her why she couldn't just come, and kept pushing the idea of they needed to make this content and that it would be a good idea.
And she pushed me again for more details on why I couldn't come to the US. And she also wanted an exact timeline of when she thought I would be able to do it. And I said probably 8 months or so, but I thought it was weird to even ask. But suddenly the subject changed to her wanting to actually collab with me. And my innocent mind thinks, oh, she probably just means TikTok or Instagram, right? I answer her pitch of wanting to collab, and I basically just say, no, because I kind of like working alone. She was actually like, oh, no. I mean, I was thinking of an OF collab. Lilly wanted me to go to this place in Vegas where a company named Queer Crush, who she met at a Pride event in San Francisco, were setting up sets and cameras to film professional-looking porn.
Of course, Lilly spoke in her defense and claimed that she didn't know the marriage was monogamous, and she didn't know that this wasn't something that Colleen would want, and that the second Colleen said she wasn't interested, Lilly backed off, although we'll see from the rest of Lilly's content that she isn't really one for backing off. She wants to do everything in her power to get the attention onto herself and do anything in her power to get the content and the views that she craves. So let's discuss. One of the biggest reasons Lilly has been facing a lot of controversy online is due to the fact that she loves to have conversations regarding being transgender out in public spaces, particularly conversations at Disney, at restaurants especially, by using foods as visual depictions of how this works. And she uses several different foods to do so, including corn dogs and cake pops. I think in teaching inclusivity to children is not only okay, but it's a great thing. And I think it's okay for children to know what being transgender means, because the honest truth of the matter is a lot of children do know from a very young age. Obviously in kid-appropriate terms, of course, but I do think it's okay to teach this inclusivity, and I do think it's okay for children to know that transgender people exist. However, not in the way that Lilly is going about it. I do think it is a bit weird that she is having these conversations in a very public place, and especially a very public place with a lot of children around, especially after seeing the commotion it causes online and seeing how people are using this to hurt the community, and then she still continues to do it anyways because she wants to. Kids, and honestly just random strangers who might be on vacation at Disney, don't need to know the ins and outs of gender reassignment surgery, and they don't need to see a woman showcasing it with corn dogs and donuts. I honestly do think that this is one of those more private and personal conversations that shouldn't be done in a public place. Also, even just from a content creator setting, if you really do want to educate people on this subject, wouldn't you want to film it in a more private environment where you can make sure you're really focused on teaching? Of course, Lilly had to take people's disliking to this and spin it into, oh, so now I can't be transgender outside of my own home, I can only be transgender in my home.
A lot of the commenters on that video seemed to think that there was a row of children in front of me that I was preaching to as I filmed it. But in reality, it was a really loud cafe where I could barely hear my mom right next to me, much less the table next to me. What I really think people have a problem with is that I am being a trans person in public. And that's really what this voicemail is getting at, that being trans in public in general is not okay, right?
Which I don't think. It's one thing to just simply exist as a transgender person, and another to talk about things that don't need to be talked about in a public place. I also just do not like the fact that she has to use foods for everything, and I get she's kind of doing it to not get her video taken down for actually saying the anatomy, but A dick is not a corn dog, a vagina is not a donut. Can't we just be adults and call things what they are? I do think a lot of her behavior is incredibly manipulative because she does relatively controversial things and then of course spins it into it's you don't like me because you're transphobic, you don't like me because I'm transgender, when for a lot of people that's genuinely not the intention. She's essentially trying to guilt trip people into liking her and making them feel like they're the bad person if they don't support her. And honestly, if you really want inclusivity, being transgender isn't a free pass to get away with whatever you want. And it obviously is just giving the real transphobes the impression that this is what the whole community is like, fueling the long-running hatred against all of us. I don't believe that her whole entire identity is made up for the sake of rage bait, but I do think she deliberately filmed some of her content knowing she's going to make people angry because, as I always say, the algorithm doesn't know why you're watching a video. It doesn't know if it's getting a million views because people like it or hate it. It just knows that there's views, and if there's views, she can earn profit from it. So in terms of content creating, it really doesn't matter what you're doing as long as people are watching. So I think a part of her does know that, and so she is deliberately making content that she knows will set people off. I think she could have easily made her content into actually being activism and talking about things in a different way. And I even think that it would be okay for her to share her experience about being a transgender person online. She can talk about how much it sucks when she's misgendered, and she can talk about how she feels about certain things, but the way she's going about everything is all wrong. Another big thing that people love to use to hate on the community is that we're all just trying to target the kids and recruit them to be gay, or that we want every single children to grow up just changing their gender, which, for the record, we don't. I don't care if your child is gay or straight or whatever there are. All the community literally wants is acceptance. You know, if your kid happens to be gay, don't kick them out on the streets. Not that, you know, you need to take your child to get gender reassignment surgery at school, which they think is happening for whatever reason. Like, schools can't even give you, like, Tylenol. I certainly don't think that they are performing gender surgeries there. Another video that got a lot of controversy from Lilly was a Miss Rachel style video where Lilly described what, you know, being transgender means in more simplified, child-friendly terms.
Hi friends! Today we're going to talk about something super important, what it means to be transgender.
Obviously mimicking the style of Miss Rachel. Once again, I don't think it's inherently wrong to teach children these things, but the problem with this video is the fact that she's just posting this on the exact same page where she posts all of her other content that is very much not appropriate for children to be seeing. As Michelle pointed out in her video, the algorithm can't, you know, necessarily pick out why you're watching this specific video. So if you watch a video of Lily's, like this video, a lot of her content's going to be showing up, and the other content would be getting pushed out to the same audience. It is also possible that somehow a Miss Rachel watching would somehow lead to Lily's video, and once again, in turn, all of Lily's content. I think she knew who the video would find. So in a way, she is getting the children involved where they don't need to get involved. Not because she's mentioning being transgender, but because she's randomly creating it on a page with other content that, you know, isn't appropriate. I also do believe she probably knew a little bit that this video would hit the audience of people who says keep this away from the kids, and she probably at least had a small feeling cross her mind that people in turn would retaliate against the community. Another favorite video type of Lily's to post is several videos of her getting misgendered in public. I'm getting very angry when they do, oftentimes posting their reactions with the attempts of spreading awareness and gaining some sympathy. Oftentimes it seems from the videos that the misgendering of Lilly is unintentional and not like a deliberate attack against her, although of course sometimes it is, coming from a place of hatred and very cruel people doing so. Perfect world, I think that everybody would be called what they want to be called and misgendering wouldn't exist, but unfortunately that is not the reality of things. But mistakes do happen. There are a lot of people who just see things one way or another and, you know, get it wrong. But that does not mean that every single person is necessarily just out to get you. I do think it's okay to correct people in a respectful manner, like, hey, actually I go by these, or oh, actually it's this, especially if it's someone you'll be having like multiple interactions with or a long interaction with, but instead Lilly wants to villainize and exploit every single person who gets it wrong. Let's look at some of the examples of how she handles things, yeah?
Is it a 10 out of 10, sir? I don't know what's exclusive.
Oh, would you like to show your faces?
Yes.
Notice how Lilly immediately grabs her phone with the intention of showing these kids' faces online. It could have been a quick fix. Hey, actually it's ma'am, and let them decide for themselves if they want to respect her or not, and let them be on their way.
Okay.
How is it?
First off, you called me sir, right?
Oh, I meant to say man, that's my
Oh,
fault.
no.
What are your
Oh, okay.
pronouns?
No, okay.
What are your pronouns?
She, her.
She, her. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Never
What's
know.
your name?
I don't have a name. My name's on Instagram, follow me.
There we go.
While there is a chance that these boys were deliberately being hateful, and that obviously sucks, they were just passing by. She could have let their comment be a comment and move on, but she had to get confrontational immediately. One of the kids does apologize, and though I can't say if it was coming from a place of sincerity or not, they did apologize. And then Lilly in turn basically demands their names on camera.
See, sir?
Oh, wait, one more time? I didn't catch that. See you, sir. Those are kids who knew exactly what they were doing. No, they're not ignorant, Rockton. They're hateful. There's a difference. Hate is learned. They deserve for that video to be seen by the world. I would imagine their parents are of the same mind. If my kid was walking around harassing trans people on the street, I'd want them to know. It's not a light thing. It's not like, oh, they're just being kids. No, an opportunity for them to learn, sure.
They, as one final blow, they call Lilly sir one more time. And she goes on this rant about how because of this, they deserve to be put online and, you know, they need to be shown that this is a great learning opportunity for them to have. I can agree that hatred is definitely more than just kids being kids, but the honest truth of the matter is, as a random stranger, it's not up to you to like educate these random kids and decide to post them online about it too. In the video, it was since edited out, but she did ask for like their Instagram handles and everything. Like, was your intention to just have a bunch of people go hate comment on these teenagers' Instagram profiles because of this? As she literally said herself, they were kids. You do not get to exploit kids' behavior, good or bad, for your own personal gain. Let's say these kids genuinely were sorry when the one kid apologized. Let's say they were genuine. She didn't even really give them much of a chance to be apologetic or to change their behavior because she instantly just started demanding their Instagram handles and their information, which is very weird behavior. I know it's cheesy to say this, but genuinely, if like a bunch of people did go on to hating these children after this instance with her, we wouldn't really be much better than them, would we? Sometimes hatred doesn't need to be fought with hatred and bullying. Sometimes, unfortunately, you just have to say, that sucked. I hope they're better educated in the future. But maybe we don't need to post them all online for everyone to see. This is the kind of stuff that really gives the whole community a bad look. The majority of the community obviously agrees that misgendering sucks. But I know from my own experience and several other transgender people that I've spoken with, and sometimes it's not worth having a huge fight. Especially for a quick moment with a stranger you're never going to see again. Some people just find it easier to just move past it. It seems like much less energy wasted to just move on and to go out and pick a fight each and every time. And that's not to say that you shouldn't advocate for yourself. Like, obviously, if you're in a place with people who are constantly misgendering you, that's not to say that you shouldn't be able to stand up for yourself and say, I go by this, or like cut people out of your life if they aren't respecting you. That's not to say that you shouldn't be able to do this. It's just saying, you know, most of us don't jump to that extent of things. There is also a fine line between simply standing up for yourself or simply correcting other people and literally turning it into content and getting confrontational with a camera in their faces. And there is another example of this.
I am not, sir. Do you want to say that to the camera?
You can tell that Lilly didn't even attempt to start the conversation off kindly. You know, like, it's ma'am. She had to instantly get confrontational and once again point out the fact that she's filming this.
Hundreds and hundreds of people watching you? Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. You just called me a man. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Yeah, you're a coward. Come on over. Say what you gotta say to me.
The boys do kind of ask about the video and kind of try and walk away, and it could have just been left at that, but of course Lilly can't just leave it at that, can she? She literally calls them back and makes them return so that she can continue getting her content out of this.
Oh, you don't want to call me a man to my face? Come on over. What do you gotta say? What do you gotta say about transgender people? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I did not know this man was trans. Wait, what do you go by? What do you go by?
Does it matter?
One of the boys quite literally said that they didn't know Lilly was trans and even asked her what she goes by, to which of course then she had to say, does it matter? Which, yes, it obviously does.
It does, because I'm asking you.
Say what you gotta say. There's a lot of people watching.
The real question is, it doesn't matter if you're transgender or not. Are you with the people that march and be like, we're coming for your kids? That's where it's bad.
Lilly once again tries to add fuel to the fire by saying, well, say what you gotta say what you gotta say, literally prompting them to be hateful towards her online. Like, yes, hateful people do exist and it's not fair, but you are quite literally sitting there asking for them to hate on you. Like, literally asking. They tried to just walk away.
That's when it gets bad. Oh, you need to stay up.
What's your name?
Me?
Yeah.
K.
K?
K.
K-A-Y?
K-A-Y.
Okay, and what's your name?
I don't have to give you any of mine.
You certainly don't. What's your
My
name?
name's JJ, and is y'all thing a cult? It's like LGBTQ a cult or something?
Obviously, I'm not saying what these guys said was right or okay, but once again, she could have just let them walk away at the first insult. You know, I'm not gonna step in a pond of hungry crocodiles and wonder why I get eaten.
Can I ask why you didn't step in? What, you were standing and watching? They called me a pedophile. They were verbally harassing me.
I didn't hear him call you that. I didn't know. I honestly had no idea what conversation you were having.
Lilly then decides to talk to the staff, confronting the worker for not stepping in and handling things. When the worker claims that they, didn't see anything, Lilly has to pull up the video footage showing that they did see what transpired. Like, that shouldn't be the worker's issue. Lilly was the only one who was an actual customer there. The others were just some kids, passing by. And interfering could have just caused a dangerous situation for any of them involved. And frankly, because Lilly was filming especially, I wouldn't necessarily want to get involved with something like that either. There is another video I had which is a perfect example of the way Lilly victimizes herself for the sake of content, because this didn't even feature a misgendering.
Hi, I know you wanted to sit at this table, but we have reservations, so
Oh.
we're gonna have to move you to a smaller table.
Okay.
Are you having lunch with us today? Okay. So I can move you over here, then the server will get you started in a few minutes.
Okay. Are all of these taken?
Yeah, the bigger tables have to be open because we have a lot of reservations today.
Okay,
So I can
what
put you
time-
in a smaller they're all different times, so we're about to set up this section for a party that's coming in.
Oh, okay.
So
What
you
what
wanna
time
sit-
do you think they'll come in? Just because it'll probably be pretty loud, I would imagine, right?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I just don't want to set up at a table if it's going to get loud in like 30 minutes. Maybe it'd be.
It'll be loud everywhere in the cafe.
Okay.
Yeah. But so, would you like to still sit and eat? Because I can move you over here.
You would think a normal person would just say, oh, okay, and move seats, but of course it can't be that simple, can it?
Just so I know, when do you think this will be poppin'? I guess because it's
We're
empty
about
now.
to hit
So
our lunch rush right now. And
Okay.
We have a lot of reservation. It's the holiday. People are on break, so we expect to be busy all day.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
I can move you over here. It's probably gonna be the quietest right now. But
Okay. I think I'll probably just leave.
okay.
It's completely empty in here, by the way. Completely empty. Someone sat me here and I was like, can I take the bigger table? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty sure she just kicked me out because she didn't like me or something. Lots of reservations, they say. Lots of reservations. When are the reservations? Oh, I don't know when the reservations are, but you can't be here, basically. Do you want to move to a small table that is bad lighting? And even though we already told you could sit at this table.
So she's throwing a fit because she couldn't sit at the table she wanted to sit at. First of all, miscommunications can happen at a restaurant. She could have said, hey, can I sit at this table? And someone could have said yes, and then realized that they have a lot of reservations coming in so that she actually has to move. Lilly could have just sat herself down without asking. Also, don't know how long Lilly was sitting there prior to the worker coming up to her, so she could have been there for a while and her seating could have been fine, and then, you know, they need it for a reservation. And because the worker doesn't immediately give her a timestamp of when the reservations are, Lilly had to take it and twist it into, she just didn't like me, she didn't want me to sit here. And she even says something about like she wanted me to sit at a table with bad lighting, as if that'd be the worker's first thought. Also, Lilly was complaining about the fact that it'd be getting loud in there soon in a public restaurant, and the worker literally said they could move her somewhere more quiet, and Lilly didn't want that more quiet spot with bad lighting. I can't verify the validity of this, but some of the comments even said that the place she was at didn't even allow filming, which they could have called her out for, but they didn't. The workers were very fair in my opinion, literally like trying to offer her another spot. Obviously, the sake of your content creation isn't going to be their first thought in a restaurant where people eat. Literally didn't hear any misgendering, any hatred. It was literally just people doing their jobs. And this is the kind of content that feeds into the idea that this is all just rage bait, because she quite literally was making a mountain out of a molehill. The video honestly had nothing to do with her identity. It had to do with the fact that she was somewhere where they needed to sit other people. Once again, being different is not a free pass to do whatever you want, and neither is being an influencer. Could not believe the audacity of her to say they just want to move me somewhere with bad lighting. Lilly also enjoys making videos of herself using the women's restroom each and every place that she goes and uses the women's restroom. And of course, I think that everybody should be able to use the bathroom that they identify with. That's not the issue at hand. I feel like the majority of people wouldn't even care if she didn't make the fusses about it that she does. Firstly, there was a video she made where she was detailing using the women's restroom standing up, and that obviously earned a lot of backlash, saying that she's making other women feel unsafe. I personally don't care about standing up in the bathroom because I don't think I myself would notice, because there's lots of reasons cisgender people could be standing up in the bathroom, like changing a tampon, you know, changing a piece of their clothes, or like, you know, they just haven't gotten to peeing yet. But just because it doesn't bother me doesn't mean that it wouldn't make somebody else uncomfortable. And I do still think it's weird that she felt inclined to make a whole video about it. And I do hate how she kind of does just disregard what other women might think and what the rest of the community thinks. If the rest of the community is telling her, hey, maybe you shouldn't make this type of video because it's casting negative stereotypes on all of us, she doesn't care. Then we have another instance of Lilly victimizing herself at the Cheesecake Factory.
I was just in the women's room at a Cheesecake Factory, and when I walked in, there was this little girl, like 3 years old, tops. She was standing there alone, I assumed waiting for her parent, who was in the stall. And all the stalls were full, so like I couldn't go in, I just had to wait. And it was me and this little girl and no one else. And she kind of looked at me like, and, you know, I just like nodded my head and didn't look at her. I was like, you know, it's kind of awkward.
Firstly, children will literally give you a weird look for no rhyme or reason, no matter who you are. Children just give weird looks. It's part of children's nature. It doesn't mean that it's a personal attack on you.
And it occurred to me that when the parent, who I don't know, leaves the stall, exits their stall, and sees me, a trans person, and their little 3-year-old daughter, that they might make an assumption based on untrue things that they've heard, an assumption that could be very dangerous for me, unsafe for me. So instead of waiting for that to potentially happen, I left the bathroom and decided I didn't need to pee that bad. Trans people go through this thought process any time they're in a bathroom, and it's not okay.
You left the bathroom over an occurrence that didn't even occur. I know people do have poor assumptions about transgender women using the bathroom, but this hadn't even happened yet. I feel like she just made this video because she wanted to have a story and she wanted to have something to share. And it definitely came off in bad taste. She could have just said, it sucks that I feel weird using the women's restroom because I worry what people are going to think of me. But instead she had to turn it to, this 3-year-old child made me uncomfortable in the bathroom because they gave me a weird look and I felt like I was going to be framed in a weird way. I also feel like if you're not doing anything wrong, you shouldn't have to worry too much about looking like you're doing something wrong. If you're just waiting to get into this stall, there is a chance that no one would even notice anything and like, you know, just get out and, you know, let you in. There was also videos of Lilly rating bathrooms that she used based on how well the experience went for her, which I think is a little bit of a weird concept too. This brought up a lot of backlash because she had random strangers in the bathroom of her bathroom selfies. I'm not sure if Lilly like deleted or reposted, but the videos I saw, she did have emojis covering the faces of other people. But I do still think it's kind of weird. Some of the rankings were surprisingly good, as she didn't have too poor of experiences, but one of them she gave it a 3 out of 10 because someone gave her a weird look. We don't even know if that was like directed at her being transgender or anything. Sometimes people just give weird looks for no reason. I also feel like Lilly is just quick to make assumptions, so if someone even glances in her direction with anything other than a smile, she's got her camera out and she's ranting. All in all, Lilly is just negatively harming the community in so many ways, and I do think that her platform needs to be shut down because it's moved so far past just simply educating people, spreading awareness and activism, and it spread into fueling hatred for other people, exploiting other people, and just doing weird things online. A lot of Lilly's content makes it very clear that she is just more so looking for content than actually caring about the community that she's a part of. She feeds into very harmful stereotypes and is quick to play the victim whenever she's called out for anything. I know there was also an issue where she was talking about like being transgender, but knowing she was transgender because like she played with girl toys as a kid, which is also a very harmful stereotype. Like that doesn't automatically mean that you're transgender. There's a lot of little things that go into her too, but it's also a lot of like bigger things like this, like literally, you know, just confronting everybody with a camera in their face and just expecting things to just be given to her because she's this influencer. And the way she's twisting everything to be about everyone just hating on her identity just really does harm the community, because it gives the impression that all of us are just out to get kids. It gives the impression that all of us are just constantly yelling and making scenes in public. It's just negative for everyone involved, and I do think that Lilly needs to be shut down. With that being said though, as I said before, this doesn't mean that you should use this as a free pass to hate on the rest of the community who is not like this. But that is going to be all for my talk about Lilly Tino. I think her behavior is very disgusting and she should not have a platform anymore. Y'all can let me know some of your opinions, and of course, respect everybody. And I'll see y'all in my next video. Peace out.